Welcome to the Sentimental Twist,
where two generations share one love for meaningful spaces and gracious hospitality.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Melissa.
Let's gather around the table and talk home, hosting, and all things sentimental.
So welcome everyone to episode 2. Hopefully you've gotten caught up and you listened to our first inaugural episode, which was kind of a toe dip into the water of our podcast and who we are and what we're going to be sharing, and that you loved it and that you gave us a great review. Want to make sure you know where to follow us if this is your first time to tune in. Maybe a friend told you about our podcast. So I'm Melissa, and you can find me at Home with a Twist on Instagram, homewithatwist.com on our website, and Home with a Twist is my channel on YouTube, where you can actually see this if you want to watch it, the actual video recording of it. Brittany?
And I'm Brittany, and you can find me on Instagram at Brittany Shepherd, and that's BrittanyShepard. Both of my names can be spelled multiple ways, so
They can.
I spell it this time.
Oh, it always throws me off. I always have to look to see how to remember to spell your last name.
Mm-hmm. And then my website is thesentimentaldecorator.com, and I will also post the videos from the podcast on my YouTube.
And be sure to follow us at The Sentimental Podcast.
Twist Podcast.
Start over. The Sentimental Twist Podcast on Instagram. That's where you can follow us with highlight reels, things we're going to be talking about when we have bloopers like we just did. Yep. Thanks. So good to have a good wingman in Brittany to say, nope, you said it wrong.
Y'all should have seen us the first time that we did this. We had to start over because we just got too tickled because we kept saying things the wrong way, but now we're getting better.
Now we're professionals.
We're one episode down. We know what we're doing.
Okay, so this segment this week is called Sentimental Decorating and Meaningful Spaces. Let's chat about decorating with emotion and the power of sentimental objects in our homes. I think we all have something. Mm-hmm. And hopefully our podcast will inspire people to love what they have.
Yeah. Maybe
it's a little worn. Maybe it's not the most trendy, but there are ways that you can get around that and to embrace what you have and not feel like you have to constantly go out and buy new stuff.
Agreed.
So Brittany, I know you have many pieces that are sentimental to you. Things that came from your mom, your grandmother, things that you found out when you've been estate sailing or thrift shopping. But let's talk about one meaningful item that you'd like to tell us about.
Okay, so I was racking my brain because I have many things that I can share. And the one thing that is the most sentimental to me is not actually an object. It's my dog because she was my mom's. But I will tell y'all about Annie Belle at some point. But I'm going to skip to a sentimental item in my home. And it's my grandmother's chandelier that I have hanging in my dining room. So it is one of those classic brass. I've posted about it on one of my Sentimental Sundays on my Instagram. Classic brass. It has the pineapple detail, which to me represents hospitality, and the crystals that hang. It lived in my grandparents' home over the same dining table that I have in my dining room, because it's theirs, for 50 plus years. And it's just classic and beautiful. I love it so very much because I'm a huge brass fan. But I just think about all of the meals that it has seen and all of the meals that it shone its light over. And now it's in my house, hanging in my dining room over the same table and chairs that it hung over at my grandparents' house. And I just love it so much because one of my fondest memories of all time, well, it's not one memory, it's just all the memories of sharing Thanksgiving and Christmas meals at my grandparents' house with cousins and aunts and uncles and extended family. That was one of my most favorite times of year, those holiday seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, because we just got to see so many of our family that didn't live close, or those that did live close. We got to eat a really good meal together because my grandmother, best cook ever. So the chandelier in my house now represents all of that to me, and it's not only beautiful but it's meaningful. It fits my vibe, my style, which is very old lady decor. But I wanted to add a little update to it. So my twist on my sentimental item is I added these Amazon black chandelier shades to the candelabra part because they did not have shades. It was just the bulb, just the candelabra bulbs. I just thought, well, one, now new bulbs are gross and they don't look pretty like the new LED bulbs.
Yeah.
So I wanted to cover those. So these black shades kind of give it an updated element. They have a gold interior, so they really reflect warmth.
Right.
And I love that.
Has to put
And
it on your table.
yeah, and there's an old adage that every room needs a little bit of black. And so
I heard that.
And so that is my
Black.
black in the dining room.
I
It's
have a
the
black
shade.
shade in your room, I see, right behind you.
Yes, so that screen has the black trim.
Yeah.
And then my home, this is the formal living room that I'm sitting in because I will get to the bustle room at some point, which will be my office / work room. It's just not renovated yet. This fireplace is gorgeous. Let me see. Can I twist it? Can I turn it? Can I turn it? Can I turn it?
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, with the black tile.
With the black towel, and that's the original black towel. And I thought about changing it, but I just think it adds so much depth
Yeah.
to the room. And so I've kept the black towel. And it's seen better days. There's a few chips and cracks, but to me, that's part of its story. I love
That's the charm.
charm of imperfection. So,
Because broken is beautiful.
broken
That's
is
my
beautiful.
philosophy. Okay, I have so many questions to ask you about the chandelier. First of all, if that chandelier could talk, it could tell some really good stories.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of things we say under our breath that other people don't hear. I'd love to know what the chandelier would say. And second of all, what was your grandmother's name?
Ella.
Ella. So how did you acquire when Ella passed? Ella died before your mom.
Yes.
Right? And so how did it get passed from Ella's house to your mom to you?
Well, it didn't ever leave Ella's house until it came to mine. My grandmother passed away in 2014, my mom in 2017, and then my grandpa died right before COVID hit in 2020. And so my brother and I and some other family members were sorting through my grandparents' house and trying to figure out what to do with it. And we ultimately ended up selling my grandparents' house. And so I took the chandelier with me. Among many other things that you will see in my house. But it came to me because when we sold the house, I didn't want to sell that chandelier with the house. It stayed in storage because I had not, we sold it in 22, I believe. And I bought this house in 23 and started renovating it towards the end of 2023. So it stayed in storage for a good year and a half until I could figure out. I was going to put it in my old house, but I'm glad I never hung it because then I would have had to move it again. But it's perfect for this house because in the formal rooms in this house, I don't know if you can see, but I have triple crown molding. And so it's formal, but I try to make it a little bit casual and lived in. But the chandelier fits so
perfectly in there. So that process to clean out your grandmother's house, were people pretty open to you taking things, or was there did your brother want the same thing you wanted, or was he kind of like, I don't care about any of this old lady stuff?
I'm the only granddaughter, really.
Okay.
So, but everybody got a lot of things. My grandfather was a peanut farmer, cotton, corn. And my brother's also in agriculture. So a lot of the things he wanted was related to that. And so did my cousins, things of that nature. So, my mom had already gotten a lot of she was the only daughter. And so she had gotten a lot of the furniture pieces, not the dining room table and chairs, but a couple of things. And so that went to me or to my brother or if a cousin wanted it. But the house still had the majority of its original stuff in it when my grandpa passed away because he was still living there and we didn't want to have upheaval in his home. And so when he passed away and we started that process with family, I was the one because I love the old stuff that was drawn to most of everything. And of course the sentimental value of everything, but everybody kept a little bit of something. But I got all my grandmother's blue and white stuff that she had hanging on the walls, like platters and decorative dishes, not eating dishes, and some furniture pieces. Most of my furniture was my mom's that she sourced and bought herself and spent time finding. But the dining room table and chairs are from my grandparents' house with the chandelier. That's my sentimental, meaningful piece to share for this week. What do you have to share with us, Melissa?
Okay. I'm going to share something that came from my mother's best friend. So my mom passed away in 2013 from brain aneurysm. Very sudden, came out of no. I mean, we knew she had a brain aneurysm, but it was diagnosed during her stroke, which interestingly enough, that's when a lot of people's aneurysms are diagnosed, is if they ever have a stroke and they have to have a brain image. But she was in her 80s, and the neurologist said, I don't recommend we fix it. I honestly think this probably will not rupture. If we can make sure your mom's blood pressure is controlled, I think she'll be fine. There's more contraindications to doing it at her age than there are the benefits of not her doing anything. So
Mhm.
she had her stroke in 2007. So this is 2013. So quite a few years, had she
Mhm.
gone without needing any attention. Obviously, it took her life. But if I look back, her best friend, Margaret, who was 100 when she passed away, she
Wow.
died in January of that same year. I kind of noticed the twinkle in my mother's eyes as when Margaret died
Mm.
kind of went away.
Oh.
My mother had lost her husband, her son, and now her best friend. So it didn't surprise me that she would die shortly after Margaret. So Margaret had an estate sale because she needed to go to live in an assisted living facility. This is before she died. And her daughter had an estate sale. And there was a chair that was in Margaret's house. There was a slipper chair, which for those who don't know what a slipper chair is, it's basically a chair that just has a back and no sides.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming it was just a chair ladies would sit in, and maybe called a slipper chair because that's where they would sit to put their slippers on.
Mhm.
I don't know. Or it may be big enough for them to display out their beautiful dresses that they would wear.
Mm.
And it was in a green, kind of an olive green silk fabric. It was
Mm.
still in pristine condition, but the green really wasn't my vibe. So the twist was I had it recovered in a navy blue velvet,
Ooh.
and it is in my ladies' lounge.
Ooh.
And I found an ottoman that is a really nice companion piece to it. So I get so much enjoyment out of seeing it because it
Mhm.
reminds me of Margaret, reminds me of Margaret and my mother,
Yeah.
and them being together now and doing
Yeah.
all the things that they used to love to do, which was
Mhm.
read, listen to music, just they would talk for hours on the phone. There was an age difference so there's probably the same age difference between you and me. Margaret
Oh,
was
really?
about 20 years older than my mother.
Cool.
And they met a really long time ago through their husbands. And I think Margaret, having her wisdom of being a little older
Mhm.
and being married longer, was good for my mother because my mother could call her and just kind of talk about the frustrations of marriage and child rearing and just life in general, and they really got each other.
Yeah.
So I love to look at that chair and think about. And what's really sweet and beautiful is that Margaret's daughter Peggy is a little older than my sister. So Peggy, I think, is 78 and I'm 6. So she's 18 years older than me. And
Okay.
Peggy and I spent a lot of time together because of
Mhm.
the love our mothers had for each other. So Peggy is almost kind of like an Aunt Peggy.
Oh,
She
yeah.
spends Thanksgivings with us. She comes over Christmas Eve, Mother's Day, anytime that we can include Peggy in our family
Oh,
gatherings, she's always there.
yeah,
So
I was gonna ask you that. Did you have relationships with Margaret's family still? So
yeah, and
so
Peggy just lost her
sure.
brother, so now she doesn't have any family.
Mhm.
So it's going to be that much more important for her to be included in the things that we're doing, and she's really fun. She's just a fun person, and she took really good care of my mom too
Oh.
when Peggy lived in Denver. My mother would go out to visit Margaret and where Margaret had moved. And Peggy always, took my mother and Margaret out to lunch and did
Mhm.
little spa days with them and really pampered them. So
Aw.
Peggy's a really good person. So that's my sentimental
That's
is
so
the chair.
sweet.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to tell us about your ladies' lounge at some time
Yes, I will.
too.
I'm working on it. My ladies' lounge was actually downstairs. It used to be in my old dining room because I never really used the dining room. And then when my daughter moved out, graduated from college and moved out on her own, we just didn't find that we used the kitchen table as much anymore to sit
Mm-hmm.
down and have meals. Because sometimes my husband and I'll just have a bowl of cereal for dinner. We don't make dinner. And we turned the dining room back into a dining room, and now my ladies' lounge is upstairs. So I just got a new rug yesterday. I'm hanging curtains, hanging a gallery wall, so it'll be ready for unveiling soon.
Okay, can't
Yeah,
wait to
and
see
it'll be
that.
the place where
Follow
I'll
Melissa on At Home with a Twist to
home with the
see her ladies'
twist.
lounge reveal.
Yeah, it'll be a place where I can play Scrabble, do a puzzle. When I learn how to play mahjong, it'll
I
be
was gonna ask, do you mahjong yet?
yeah. I've got a table that I bought at an estate sale, and that's a whole nother story. And I've got my record player I got from Mother's Day up there. My mother's antique secretary for writing thank you note. I mean, it's just going to be a whole vibe.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Okay.
All right.
So now
Moving on.
we're moving on.
It is time for Bless It, We Had to Share. So, this is the fun part of the show where we gush over our new finds, fun trends, or just something that made us smile this week and that we had to pass along with y'all. So, Melissa, what's new with you this week?
Okay. So in the last episode, I talked about this adorable book that I got from Renee,
Hmm.
who is on Instagram, Lucy Betty June. She is a vintage collector and deal. And I bought this from her, and it was still wrapped in the original plastic. It is the Better Homes and Gardens decorating book. And let me see if I can read what the copyright date is on here. 19, I don't have my readers. Let me see if I can pick it up with, I think it says 1956.
Oh,
Okay. And it has tabs for all the things.
that is so cool.
Isn't that neat? It's got floors, lighting. I think this was probably designed for a woman who was going to redo her home and
Hmm.
get all the latest trends. But what I think what's fun about this is that the very first page is totally like our vibe on our blog. It says, decorate the way you live.
Mm,
Okay.
love that.
And it says, do you entertain formally or concentrate on backyard barbecues? Do you have occasional help or must your home be geared to easy care?
Mm.
Plan your decorating to further your way of living, to give you a comfortable, beautiful background. And then it goes on to talk about what's your family's personality. And it has different pictures of, like a study and a formal living room, and it's just so adorable. And
I'm
facts you know more facts about color than you think. Would you wear a checkered blouse with a plaid skirt? Would you choose a red dress to make you look smaller? It's easy to use color facts you already know in decorating your home. So it's
That's
just
so
the
cool.
cutest little book that I look forward to reading. And scale of your lamps to tables. Furniture was a whole lot smaller back in the 50s.
Hmm.
We were smaller people. Our
Yeah.
houses were smaller. And it's hard to move from like a 2007 build house into a mid-century modern house because your big furniture from 2010 is
Hmm.
not going to fit in a ranch style 50s house.
I'm dealing with that in this house because it was built in 53, and my little, what I call my snug or my den, I have cycled through, I think, three different sofas so far to try to find the right, and I want a petite sofa anyway, but I want it to be comfortable. So the one I had and I brought in was just a little too big. And then no, I'm only on two, but then I sold that one and put two chairs these chairs, I don't know, two chairs and an ottoman, and I like that, but that's where my people hang out. So two chairs wasn't enough, like if we're watching a football game, which is really mostly what I watch. And so then I got a couch off of Facebook Marketplace that's a little bit smaller, but it's deep. It's super deep. So it takes up a lot of space. So I'm kind of like, I need 50s furniture,
You do.
honestly.
And so
So,
for you, shopping at estate sales for a house that was, 50 style, or, finding someone like Renee or someone in
mhm.
your town who can help you find pieces.
Yep.
Because Renee's actually kind of turned out to be the person that I'll say, I need such and such.
Hmm.
And she'll put it in her notes. And if she finds it, she'll send me a picture and then I'll buy it from her. But
That's good.
this was a great little piece to have just because I love it that it's, you know, old thing. What do they always say? You can, something about, how you can bring back things
Hmm.
that were trends in the 50s that, you'll see now. I mean, everybody's collecting stuff from 50s and 60s and 70s and
Right.
bring it into their home. So that was my blessed, I gotta share it, uh,
Okay.
decorating book.
Love it.
Yeah. And what is yours?
Oh, okay.
Can't wait
Oh,
to hear it.
okay. So, recently on my Instagram, I shared about a photo gallery wall
Yes.
that I did in my kids' room. So, I'm single, I have no children. So, I have a kids' room that has twin beds for my nephews and niece. And really, that's my guest room right now. I don't have an additional guest room. So, sorry, guests, you have to sleep in a twin bed, but they're comfortable, I promise. But in my old house, I did this, and I wanted to recreate it in this house and add the new family members because I have a niece and a nephew that weren't on the wall in the last house. So it's a sentimental photo gallery wall of photos of my family members, my parents, my brother and I, and now my niece and nephews as babies and children. And so a lot of them are framed in their original frame. So like this really great photo of my dad, not photo, I mean, I think it's a photo, an old 50s photo of my dad in this really chunky gold gilt frame that's beautiful. But I had to print new photos for Bennett, Langley, and Bramlett, my nephews and niece. Langley is my niece. Um, and so a company called Picta, Picta.com, partnered with me because they do prints, same day prints. You can pick them at Walgreens or CVS. And they also have other photo art. So, like, you could do canvases, posters, cards, all the things. But of course, I just used prints for this occasion. And I used their service on picta.com. So easy, uploaded the pictures that I got from the photographer, and they were ready within a couple of hours. Went to get them at CVS, and I shared on my Instagram recently the gallery wall. Now, I'm not a measure person. I'm a put it up there and pray kind of person. So it's not precise, but it's so special and I love it. I walk by it and I'm like, that's so sweet because it's got a picture of my mom as a baby and my dad as a baby. My brother and I with these bunnies. We had our pictures made with these bunnies when we were kids. And then, of course, there's 6 month old photos of my niece and nephews. And so it's really sweet. And so I would encourage y'all, this is my encouragement, hang your family photos, display your family photos. I love a good black and white photo. I love little galleries. I love old frames, like old brass or silver frames with family photos in it. And I have them all over, you can kind of see over there. I have them all over my house because to me that they're my art in a way. That's what my mama always used to say. My children are my art, so we were hanging up all over the place. And so
Sweet.
I would encourage y'all to hang or display family photos from generations past and current. Have your ancestry, your history on display because you really do find joy in that. And then I wanted to share if you want to print some photos using Picta, Picta.com, I have a discount code. It's Brittany40. You get 40% off
Ooh.
your picture. Right now, it's actually just through the end of June, so I think this episode goes live the 26th. So you have a few more days to use that code of June, the end of June 2025, and it's Brittany
Father's
40.
Day. This would be a great Father's Day gift. Well, no, we're after Father's Day at this point.
I think we might be.
Yeah.
But still, it's a great gift idea. They have canvas prints. You can do all different kinds of photo art with your photos through
Yeah, get
them.
your Christmas shopping.
Some of them aren't same day, like more of the art type stuff, but prints are same day. I mean, I picked them up within 6 hours. So
When you did your photo processing, can you change the tone and everything? Does it let you
you
change it
can.
if you wanted to make it a black and white
Hmm.
photo? And okay.
Yes,
One of the
you
things
can.
that's one of the tricks that's really neat about photos is that, a lot of photos from back in the day are not the size photos that we have now.
Right.
So it's hard to find mats and
Yeah.
frames for
Hmm.
those little, Instamatic or,
Hmm.
but you can go to your framer and have them cut a mat for you.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I love gallery frames. Gallery frame meaning that the picture's a lot smaller than the mat size.
Hmm.
And, you can you don't have to just make it work by buying the frame in the store. You can
Hmm.
take it a step further and get a mat cut.
And it's not terribly
It's
expensive
not.
to do that.
No. And they'll
So,
do it for you. They may not be able to do it same day, but
hmm.
they'll cut it for you and go and pick it up. And then you've got an instant piece of art that is really a showpiece.
Hmm.
So great. Yay.
Agreed.
I love
So
that.
that's my blessed I had to share.
Wonderful. Love it. Okay, so we are going to move on now to hosting and gracious hospitality.
Hmm.
It's summertime and summer travel is happening, and we may be hosting overnight guests. So we thought we would share with you some of our best tips for little luxuries that
Hmm.
make guests feel welcome in our homes.
Yes.
And I will start with my guest bathroom,
Mm.
which is upstairs. I have two guest bedrooms and an office, and then my ladies' lounge is
Hmm.
upstairs. So whomever is over to visit me for to play mahjong would use my guest bathroom.
Okay.
And I like for my guest bathroom to almost be like a boutique hotel.
Mm.
So I have a really pretty bottle of bubble bath on the tub, and you can buy gorgeous bottles of bubble bath at like Home Goods,
Oh, yeah.
TJ Maxx, and they're seriously deeply discounted. And I also like to have things that a guest maybe has forgotten to bring. So in
Mm.
my medicine cabinet, I have a fresh tube of toothpaste, toothbrushes still in their container, dental floss. I've got a bottle of Tylenol, Band-Aids, nail file, nail clipper, allergy medicine, eye drops, anything that they might be like, shoot, I forgot to bring, and they
Yeah.
don't want to have to ask because they don't want to bother me. So it
Mhm.
makes it super simple for them just to be a self serve opportunity.
Mhm.
And then I have these really neat makeup cloths that I bought on Amazon. And I can't remember the name of the brand of them, but we could probably include it in our show notes.
Okay.
But they say makeup, and they're like a kind of a mocha color.
Perfect
So
for
if
your
they
makeup.
put their makeup on them, they're
Mhm.
not putting their makeup on my really pretty white towels that I like
Yeah.
to have because that's very spotty. So I don't care if they get mascara or blush or lipstick on it because they'll wash out.
Mhm.
And it's kind of the cloth like those eraser cloths.
Oh, yeah, the makeup erasers.
Yes, a lot of people
Okay.
will use those. Kind of like a
So it's
sheet.
sort of microfiber?
Kinda, I
Mm.
think so. Yeah, but I roll them up and I just have them on a tray in
Cute.
my bathroom on the vanity, so somebody could just reach over and get it. I have a diffuser in there, and then one little thing that I love to do in my guest bedroom is you remember traveling on vacations when you were little, and they would have stationery in the hotel rooms.
Mhm.
So I have stationery, and my friend, again, Renee with Lucy Betty June, hooked me up with some vintage Fort Worth postcards.
Cute.
And it has some of the buildings from back in the 50s and 60s that some are still there, some are iconic, like the old post office downtown that my mother used to take me to mail all of our letters because they didn't have a lot of post offices like they do now on every
No.
corner. You had to go to the
Yeah.
central post office.
Mhm.
So I have those in a drawer with some pins. So if somebody wants to write a little letter to someone back home to say, "Hey, this is where I'm visiting," then they've got a little postcard to write. So that's how I like to try to make my guests feel like they're staying in a luxury boutique hotel.
I love those
What about
ideas.
you, Brittany? What kind of things do you like to share with your guests?
Well, okay, so I'll talk about the bathroom a little bit because my house right now is pretty unique. I have two full baths, but one is out of commission because it is needing a full renovation and I don't have an ensuite. So my bathroom is the guest bathroom. It's the only bathroom right now. Eventually, I hope to have an ensuite when I can save up for an addition. But one of the things I always try to do is make sure that people feel comfortable using the bathroom since it's the hall bathroom. So I have the little before you go sprays and I always try to put a little posy in a bud vase of flowers
Yes.
and a candle with matches, just so that people are like, okay, there's masking things in here if we need to do business. But that's one of my little things that I always do, even when I have parties, even if it's not a shared bathroom space. I always have those things, especially I love to have the little flowers in the bathroom for a party or an event. And when I have overnight guests, I just think it's a sweet little touch because people are like, oh, they really thought about me coming, and cut flowers from the yard or whatever. But I also, the other thing that I make sure to do is have breakfast and coffee easily accessible. I'm an early riser, so typically I'm up before any of my guests. But if I have guests that drink coffee or want a little bite to eat in the morning, I make sure that they know how to turn the coffee pot on, that I make it before the night before, and it's either on a timer or it's self-explanatory to press the button to get it going when you're ready. And then I have a little tray, usually with breakfast, sort of breakfast snacks, not full-on breakfast, with a little note that says there's juice, fruit, yogurt, whatever in the fridge. So I have like granola stuff or even the little cereal boxes and have milk in the fridge. And I go ahead and make the tray with the bowls and the utensils that they would need. If they wake up in the middle of the night, they want a midnight snack, they have something there. And the midnight snack thing, I almost always will have a cake plate with cookies under the glass dome for my guests. And I don't always make those cookies. I am a girl of the 21st. What are we in the 21st century now?
Yes.
I don't know. And so Publix has Heath Bar cookies and these Calypso cookies that have
What?
coconut in them, and they're delicious. And so I will always get a box of one of those and just put it on the cake plate under the dome, and that way,
Wait to come and visit you. I love a good cookie.
yes. And now when I have time, I will bake cookies, but usually people are happy that I have cookies at all, and those are really good cookies. Publix Bakery,
But we don't have
bless.
Publix here. We have
Do you?
HEB, we
Oh
have
yeah.
Kroger, we have Albertsons, but we don't have a Publix. At least in Fort Worth, we don't have a Publix.
We have three Publix in our
Okay.
little town. I mean, it's not a little town. I mean, it's about 60,000 people, but we have three Publix. It's our main grocery store. We had Winn-Dixie, but they've just been bought out by Aldi, so we're gonna get two Aldis.
Ooh, I love Aldi.
So I'm
Aldi is
excited about that. Wish we had a
so,
Trader Joe's or a Fresh Market or something like that, but
yeah.
one
I
day.
love Aldi. Aldi, I buy my fruit at Aldi, meat, produce, and then they also have this really good vanilla cold foam that I like to put on my coffee that they sell at Aldi.
Good to know.
So I'll usually buy like 3 or 4 cans of it because I don't know if anybody knows what cold foam is. It's almost kind of like putting whipped cream on your coffee,
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't melt. It kind of stays for a little bit and then eventually it'll kind of blend into your coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't like really sweet coffee, but it just kind of gives you like just a little essence of sweet, and it makes your coffee taste really rich. So anyway, that's where
Yeah.
I like to get. But I love Aldi and I love Trader Joe's. I don't like Trader Joe's parking lots.
Ugh.
Is your Trader Joe's parking lot awful?
Well, we don't have one, but the
Okay.
two that I go to are more than 2 hours away.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like an investment. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I think they're known for having terrible parking lots.
It's like because they're not big stores, maybe they're just trying to like discourage.
I don't know, but it's just like, ugh, I hate
I'm not
it.
gonna lie, I had a reminder in my phone for a year where I would go onto their website every day and request a Trader Joe's for my town.
Really. And it
But
never
they didn't come.
happened. It didn't happen.
Okay, so I say we're 60,000 people, but we're in the corner of Alabama, the next to Georgia and Florida. And we have a lot of industry, healthcare being one of them. So this is sort of the hub of the area for people to go shopping, to the doctor, for entertainment, because it's all rural, around. So we almost double our population during the work week, people coming into work in healthcare or agriculture industry. We're the peanut capital of the world. 70% of the world's peanuts are grown within a 100-mile radius of the town I live in. So
Wow.
some statistic like that, it may not be exact anymore, but that
So
is,
Alabama is more peanuts than Georgia?
we're kind of one and the same because most of the peanuts grown in Georgia are grown close to Alabama.
Okay, wow, I didn't know that.
hmm
So
Which
if
is
so
where I grew up.
Alabama, so if Alabama's here and it butts up to Florida and Georgia,
hmm
you're like right there in the
Right
corner.
in that corner.
Wow.
80 miles from the Gulf Coast of Florida.
So that's where you go when you say you go to the beach.
hmm
Okay. All right. Wow.
Great.
So you're in a great spot.
It is a really good location, but we are big enough for a Trader Joe's, I believe.
Okay. And your house is in a great location because it's right on the corner
Yes.
and you're in the Azalea Historical District,
I'm
right?
in the historic district, which is adjacent to the garden district, which are the two oldest sort of subdivision neighborhoods in our town. I'm actually in the oldest neighborhood, where I am now, but my house is actually young, 1953. So there's a lot of Tudor style homes, craftsman style homes, and it's just the garden. We're on the Azalea Dogwood Trail. It's a cute little southern town.
Yeah. So a future episode, I want you to remember, make a note to share with everyone how you found your house.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's a really sweet, little sweet story.
it is a fun story.
Okay.
All right.
So we also want to hear from what our guests, how they make their guests feel special.
hmm
What are some unique things that you do to make your guests, regardless of what time of the year they come, feel welcomed and that they don't have to lift a finger for anything.
Right.
So you can send those tips to us at the Sentimental Twist podcast at gmail.com. Okay. Or you can send a DM to Brittany at Brittany Shepherd or to me at Home with a Twist. You can send that to us on our DMs. But definitely the Sentimental Twist podcast at gmail.com would be a great place for you to just tell us everything that you do to make a guest feel special. So,
Yes. We'll leave all that in the show notes so that if you need to
yes.
go back to the email address, please do.
Yeah. Okay. Those are great tips. All
Yeah.
right. So, moving on.
Yeah, next segment we're going to talk about, since it's summertime and we're getting close to the 4th of July, some seasonal traditions and celebrations. So we'll throw that in from time to time, especially when it's holiday season. And so right now we're in the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
It's not the dog days yet for us. That's August, September. But we are hot and it's summery and it's time to get patriotic. And so we're going to share some ways that we decorate for the summer in our homes. So let's see, I'll start if that's okay and share what I do. I honestly really don't do a ton of summer specific decor, but I have some seashells that I've collected. So I find ways to display those on little trays and such. And then I have a shell box, a couple of shell boxes that I've collected. One was thrifted, one was a gift from my other mother, Kimberly, that I work with. And then I do patriotic around the patriotic holidays. They don't necessarily stay up all summer. My patriotic door decor and outside decor, I have flags in my planters, that stays up all summer. But inside, I kind of rotate and shift things out. But I put flags in little ginger jars. I don't have a ton of specifically patriotic things, but red, white, and blue willow, you can never go wrong if you mix blue willow with red and white. I do have a really cool flag art from my friend Kelsey Miller Studio. She's an artist and she has whimsical, bright, colorful paintings. It reminds me of what my mom would paint because she was a bit of an artist as well. But I have a collage flag that she did that I display for 4th of July and patriotic holidays. So that's really what I do for summer is like shells and a little patriotism.
Yeah, I love that. I love
What
red,
about you?
white, blue. In fact, I decorate my front door for Memorial Day and I just leave it up
That's what I do.
past July 4th, like maybe the middle of July, and then I'll change it out to maybe something like sunflowers or something. I want to speak to the fact that some people may have really small spaces, and I know you have a
Mhm.
smaller home that
I
doesn't
do.
probably have a lot of storage. And so it's hard to have a lot of things to decorate because you don't know where am I going to store it.
hmm
So one of my tips is that I try to pick a spot in my house that is always my seasonal, almost kind of like window dressing. when they would dress a window in a department
Yeah.
store, that's where you can always count on my summer things being. And so if that helps people out there who don't have a lot of stuff or have a lot of room, you don't really have to decorate all over the house. You can just find one table
Mm-hmm.
or one spot in your home that is your focus for the seasons.
I
So
like that.
that's my first tip. What I like to do, in addition to shells, because when I was little, my mother loved to spend at least a week at the beach. We'd go to Galveston, and she loved to walk up and down the beach, the shore, and we'd pick seashells. So I have a lot of sentimental memories of her and I shelling. So I always put out seashells. But one of the other things that I love to do is I collect postcards.
Yeah.
And I shared a reel on my Instagram
Yes,
that I
that.
love postcards. I love for people to send me postcards. Sometimes I'll even just buy a postcard when I'm traveling and keep it. I have vintage postcards that I've gotten from my friend Renee. My friend Kathy is traveling right now in Paris. She's my artist friend. And I told her if she goes to a flea market, if she can find some vintage Parisian postcards to pick them up for me so I can put them in my collection. And I have them in a glass terrarium box. And you'd lift the lid and the postcards are all in there. Um, when I was an innkeeper for a couple of seasons, people wrote letters to me at the inn, and I have all those letters tied up in twine. I have those there. It's kind of like letters from camp. Saltwater taffy, bowls of saltwater taffy. That's so summery. You can buy
Yeah.
saltwater taffy right now at Trader Joe's. They have it. And then the last thing that I like to do is I like to go through my photo albums and pull out any old vacation photos,
Oh, yeah.
especially the black and white ones, and put them in a bowl and put them on the coffee table. And when you have parties, a lot of times you're inviting people that may not know each other, and it's so hard to small talk is an art.
It
Maybe
is.
that might be a good episode sometimes to talk about the art of small talk. I'm really good at small talk because I was an event producer for 25 years. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to talk to people and find
Yeah.
ways to get to know people in my profession. But everybody can bond over a bowl of old photos, especially places that maybe they've been, like White Sands, New Mexico, or to the beach or to the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to just have things that can create and generate conversation, that spark memories, um, where people can be like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in years, but I do
Look.
remember shelling, eating saltwater taffy when we go to the beach, or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I like to um, create meaningful spaces and timeless celebrations, is through um, old photos.
Yeah. I love that idea, and I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to move now to Porch Talk, the speed round. I'm super excited about this. For those of you that don't know what a speed round is, it's where I'm going to fire off quick questions to Brittany, and she's going to give me even quicker answers and let you peek inside the screen door to see who we really are. And then she's going to ask me the same questions. Okay, you ready?
Ready? Okay.
First one. What is your go-to comfort meal? No judgment.
Chips and salsa.
Okay.
There's a story.
Okay, tell us the story.
So chips and salsa, one, I just love Mexican food. Always have, always will. Never not gonna love it. If you add guacamole, complete meal, in my opinion.
Yes.
But my mom and I, we would this would be our go-to meal if we were having what we call a dirty Saturday or whatever, where we would pretty much stay in our pajamas or loungy clothes all day. We might be doing a project, we might be just watching TV, we might be fiddling around redecorating something, but that's what we would stop and eat is chips and salsa. I distinctly remember like days where we would just be sitting on the floor in our Christmas pajamas, wrapping Christmas presents, watching Hallmark movies, and we would stop and eat chips and salsa. So chips and salsa is a comfort meal for me,
Okay.
and a girl dinner when I'm feeling lazy.
Sure. Especially homemade salsa.
Yes,
We
don't do it
made
at
some
home, but I love
recently with tomatoes and jalapenos and cilantro from our
it.
garden.
Yum.
So yummy.
Garden.
Okay, what's one decor item you own too many of but refuse to stop collecting?
Dishes, but it's not really decor, but vintage dishes, any dishes, dishes. And I decorate with them. I mean, they're all hanging all over my house. They're sitting on tables. So yeah, they're decor, but dishes. I will never not collect dishes.
Okay. And what is a favorite scent that instantly takes you back in time?
So this is not, I'm thinking this is not a like scent like we would typically think of, like a candle scent or anything like that, but it's breakfast at my granny's house.
Mm.
Just a breakfast food, bacon cooking.
Oh,
That bacon mixed with coffee mixed with the sweetness of syrup smell, there's a distinct,
yeah.
because I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house and I would spend the night there a lot and I would wake up because my grandpa got up early, farmer, to the smell of granny cooking bacon, the coffee perking because we used a percolator
That
and I
make
still have
percolated
one.
coffee is good hot coffee. It is
So
hot,
good.
hot.
I
It is.
use a percolator when I have guests. And so there's nothing like it. But that smell, if I go into a restaurant that has those smells together, if I'm cooking breakfast at my own house, like that instantly takes me, like I can smell my grandmother's house right now thinking about it.
Yeah. And so when your grandmother would cook, were you usually in bed and you would wake up to the smell of the cooking bacon and the coffee
Yes.
brewing?
And then I would
Oh,
meander into the kitchen and sit up on the bar at the bar with my grandpa. And that was my first experience with coffee. I would have coffee with my grandpa, which was basically like this much coffee,
and a
this
lot of
much
milk.
milk, and sugar.
Yeah. What was your grandpa's name?
Milton.
Milton. And you did you call him Grandpa?
I call him Papa.
Papa. And what did you call your grandmother?
Granny.
Granny and Papa.
Hmm.
There is nothing better. I have memories too of Christmas mornings, laying in
Mm.
bed, usually as an older, when you
Yeah.
sleep a little later, not when you were
Hmm.
little and you were up before everybody else, but of the smell of bacon, with my mom getting Christmas brunch ready.
Hmm.
Uh, okay.
So good.
Yeah,
All right. Are you ready?
I am ready. Okay.
Okay. What's your go-to comfort meal? No judgment.
So growing up, my mother, my brothers were big boys, and one of them was an athlete in particular. So she would make really southern dinners every night. So mine would be chicken fried steak, mashed
Mm.
potatoes, mixed with corn and gravy,
Yes.
really good biscuits. My mom
Mm.
didn't really bake biscuits. I think she would do the ones in the can, but I like
They're good.
homemade biscuits. I like homemade biscuits. Um, and probably iced tea, and then for dessert would be something like either chocolate pie or a chocolate sheet cake. So that would be,
Mm. I love it.
yeah.
All right. What's one decor item you own too many of but refuse to stop collecting?
Okay, so mine would be dishes too. So I'm going to try to pick something else.
No, it's the
No,
same.
same. Okay. Yeah, I love dishes, and not so much dishes that I'm going to hang up on the wall,
Hmm.
but just dishes that I want to set the table with. In fact, there was something recently, and I don't know where I saw it, but it was a Linux butterfly
Okay.
pattern that I looked on eBay, and it's actually pretty affordable right now.
It's called Eternal. Eternal? No,
No, I
that's
had a
another
Linux
Linux.
Eternal in my first marriage. I gave that away to my niece. But this is butterfly. It's botanical, but it's got
Yeah,
butterflies on
I
it.
know the name of it. I just recently came across it again as well, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe replacements that we saw it. If we both saw it recently, it was something we must
Perhaps.
have seen on Instagram because I thought it
Hmm.
was just really pretty, or maybe somebody selling it. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I'm just a sucker. My mother collected dishes as well, and one of hers was Wedgwood strawberry.
Mm.
She has a place setting for four, so I might like to collect a few more dinner plates, so I've got enough for 8 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be one of my tips if somebody is getting started in collecting things, is to try to at least have 12 dishes,
Okay.
because 8 is enough, but just in case somebody brings a plus one,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice if you've got a few extra if one breaks.
Yes.
It's nice to have a few extras. So I would definitely, if you're looking into purchasing a set of china or pretty dishes, is to get a set of 12.
Mm-hmm.
And if they come separate, that's even better, because nobody ever really uses the coffee cups,
Not anymore.
and nobody really uses the bowls anymore.
Mm-mm.
So it would be dinner plates, salad plates, or bread and butter. I would try to
Mm-hmm.
invest in 12, just so that you've got enough in case something breaks or somebody shows up that you weren't planning.
Yeah.
So,
And I have cups and saucers for a lot of things that I don't have I have very few full sets, but cups and saucers, I do have some, and I do like to use those for coffee when I have guests.
yeah. but
So,
I find that I don't use them, and
oh,
especially if you're like your everyday. I've settled everyday white dishes that
hmm,
it came with mugs, and I just because we've all got mugs. We've got
yeah.
mugs from gifts that we were given or mugs that we collected, and it's just it. In fact, the mugs I think are just in my attic right now. Probably should
Yeah.
just give them away.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Favorite scent that instantly takes you back in time?
Okay, so mine would be Vacation Bible School
Okay. What's the
and
scent?
church, how churches smell.
Mm-hmm.
Churches, I don't know what church smell. It's like they have some kind of scent distribution system. All churches smell the same to me. And that Vacation Bible School Kool-Aid and
Oh yeah.
cookies. Kool-Aid and cookies.
Hmm. I
I
know that feeling.
was a church kid growing up, and so I probably went to Vacation Bible School for 15 years
Me too.
till I was, aged out of Vacation Bible School. And there's just something about that smell of
Mm.
summer. It's a little bit of sunscreen, suntan lotion, Kool-Aid, sugar cookies, and church pea smell.
Yeah, like that kind of musty wood smell.
Yeah, it just smells old, it just, and it doesn't matter if your church is new.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
like they have church spray. I don't know, but that's
Church
what,
fragrance.
yeah, that would be
Maybe we
what
should market that.
we should. That would be my favorite scent that takes me back in time.
I thought of another one as you were talking that I didn't think of a second ago, but it's fresh turned peanut dirt.
Oh, now I don't know what that smells like.
Okay, so peanut farmer family growing up in the peanut area of the world, peanut producing area of the world. In September-ish, they start to harvest peanuts. But first they have to turn them up on the ground, turn them upside down because a lot of people don't realize this. Peanuts do not grow on trees. They grow in the ground.
Okay, so you really are not allergic to a peanut because it's not a tree nut.
It's not.
So when people are allergic to
I
peanuts,
don't know what it is, what kind of allergy it is.
okay, interesting. All right.
But they till the ground up and turn the plant upside down so that the peanuts rest on top and dry out before they pick them.
So the
And
shell
that
on a peanut is actually soft,
a little bit.
and
It's
when they turn it over and it
mhm,
gets hit with the sun, then it
yes,
hardens.
yes.
Oh my gosh, this is totally just like blowing my
And the
mind.
science of it, there's probably more technical ways and
Sure.
better. My brother would probably be like, and I'm sorry if you heard my text message come through. There's only a few people that can come through when I'm on airplane mode, and one was my brother, and he's in town and wants to go to lunch today, so that's great.
Hey, perfect.
Um,
You can ask him
but
the technical term for it and then follow up with us on it.
right, but they dry it. But that smell of that, and anybody that lives in Southwest Georgia, Southeast Alabama knows, Northwest Florida knows the smell of fresh turned peanut dirt. And though it is hot as Hades, it is the hearkening smell of fall.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
What is it like a dirt smell?
Dirt, but the peanut dirt is a different smell. Like I don't know how to
Can you
explain it.
smell peanuts?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of that mix of dirt and then a peanut smell.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to have to check that out. Maybe I need to
Hmm.
come and see you in September
Yes.
so I can experience peanut dirt.
Yes. We can go. We can go to my family's farmland and smell some fresh turned peanut dirt.
Okay. All
It's
right.
only an hour from here, so.
Okay. And tell me the little puppy who's in the background, just
Oh,
totally
is he
relaxing.
there? That's Brady.
Brady. He's just so precious. Is that his lovey?
Surrounded by toys, usually.
What is
There's
that little
three.
thing?
There's three on the couch
Is
with
that a
him right now.
sock or what is that gray thing?
Well, I think it's a sloth.
Okay. Kind of like how he is right now.
Right. But
He's so
my
cute.
both dogs are very much toy obsessed. And so he has three with him, right? And there's one on the floor. So he has four very near to him right now.
So cute. Okay, so I think it's nearing time for us to close out the show. But first,
Yeah.
it's my turn. I dropped my papers.
Uh-oh.
To close the show with a toast to sentiment.
Yes.
Okay, so this is not actually going to be about sentiment, but it's going to be
Okay.
something I've read. I'm a big reader.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a book club, and with over almost 300 members.
Nice.
And darn it, I hope I can find it. It is from Anna Garden's memoir,
I just
Be
read
Ready
that.
When the Luck Happens. Fabulous book. I recommend anyone read it. So it's on page 147 and 148. And in it, she's talking about she was a newly married, and she hosted her first dinner party, which was make your own. Everybody, she made individual omelets for everybody, and she realized that was a disaster because what it meant was that she was in the kitchen the whole time. She didn't get to engage with any of her guests, and at the end, she was resentful and sweaty and hot and mad that she missed her party. So she went to a friend's dinner party that she watched her friend. Well, Ina was in charge of putting together a cheese platter. And after she was finished with it, Anna came over and said, okay, now take everything off that platter and just put a large bunch of grapes in the middle, put the cheeses back around the grapes, then a few groupings of strawberries and crackers, then stop. Less is more. Quality is everything. And one thing that Anna said she learned from that experience and from going to dinner parties of other people's homes that were seasoned hosts is that less is more. One thing she said, I'm quoting her, one thing I learned and continue to learn every day is that the food we enjoy most connects to our deepest memories of when we felt happy, comfortable, and nurtured. It could be something from childhood or a taste that somehow made us feel good, even if we didn't know why. I want to create those nostalgic sensations with fresher ingredients and make them even better than remembered. And then she goes on to talk about how, that she learned from some of the best hosts is that you want to try to cook simple ingredients. She said something clicked that night. The meal was simple, a wonderful balance of flavors and textures. Our host, didn't look the least bit exhausted from the preparations. He was enjoying the party as much as we were. Why was I cooking elaborate meals that made me feel like I was training for the Olympics when simple food, prepared perfectly and beautifully served, delighted the guests and didn't make the host feel like killing themselves afterward? Successful entertaining didn't have to be about proving I could master a 4-page recipe that had ingredients that were recipes in themselves. A party was about connecting with your friends and having a good time. Food designed to impress was not just the point. A simple dinner with delicious food was the best way to have a good party. And so that has always been my motto, is to host with intention and not perfection.
Yeah.
And so I hope that speaks to people who are holding themselves back from hosting because they think their house is not perfect.
Right.
Their house is whatever, it doesn't matter. People are not coming to your home to see your house or to see whether you vacuumed or dusted. They're coming to spend time with you and to get away from whatever they've got going on in their own lives. And so a simple meal that could even be store-bought that you picked up from Publix or H-E-B in the ready-made section is speaks more than you worrying yourself to death over being perfect. So that's my toast this week to hosting with intention and not perfection.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I love it.
Yep.
Well, y'all, that's all for this week's episode of The Sentimental Twist. And we want you to follow us, like we said, on Instagram individually and as a podcast. Send us feedback, send us requests, send us tips, send us recipes at our email address or DM us on either of our outlets. And please share this with friends, leave a review. If you love meaningful spaces and gracious hospitality, we're so glad that you're here and you're joining us. So keep coming back. We've got more fun to come.
Yeah, we do. Thanks for joining us on The Sentimental Twist,
where we believe every space tells a story.
And every story deserves a place at the table. Until next time.
Keep things cozy, collected, and a little bit sentimental.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.